Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're setting our compass for ancient Persia, embarking on a deep dive into a really profound source of wisdom, the Minoy-e Kherad.
That's right. It translates as the spirit of wisdom.
And it's not just some dusty old book, is it?
No, not at all. It's a Sasanian text, so, from that later Persian Empire. And it truly embodies this concept they called cred.
Kherad meaning wisdom.
Exactly. Wisdom, which ancient Iranians saw as, well, their supreme spiritual jewel. For them, wisdom and knowledge weren't just related. They were like inseparable twins.
Okay, so our mission today is to unpack the core ideas in this text. We want to understand its place in Persian culture, religion too, and maybe pull out some timeless insights for living wisely.
And you might be surprised how relevant some of this ancient advice still feels today.
I bet. So let's start right there at the foundation. Our sources are pretty clear. Wisdom, this cred, wasn't just a good thing. It was the supreme spiritual jewel.
Absolutely fundamental.
And it wasn't passive. They talked about wisdom seeking and wisdom practice as a primary duty. That sounds, less like abstract philosophy and more like a real active way of life.
It absolutely was. And what's fascinating is how deeply woven this was into the Zoroastrian worldview, which was, the main religion there for centuries.
Yeah, right.
They saw two distinct realms, the spiritual, called Minoy, and the material, the Gitoy.
Minoy and Gitoy.
Yeah. And the Minoy world, the spiritual one, was considered the highest and best world. It's where the most fundamental principles came from, and wisdom itself, directly linked to that higher spiritual realm. The title, Minoy-e Kherad, says it all. It's spiritual wisdom, both singular and exalted gems believed to be born together.
Wow.
And get this, Ormazd, the creator in Zoroastrianism, is said to have used wisdom to actually create everything.
So wisdom is like a creative force.
Yes, and the force that continues to sustain creation. It's not just a human quality, it's divine.
That really elevates the whole concept, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So if wisdom is this foundational, this cosmic, how did they make sure these crucial insights got passed down? Was it just word of mouth?
That's a great point. Well, partly oral tradition, sure, but they also had a significant tradition of writing things down, specifically Andarznameh.
Andarznameh.
Which basically means advice literature. Think of them like guidebooks for life. They wrote these alongside their historical chronicles, the Shahnamehs.
So it was a conscious effort.
Very conscious, by people they called right-thinking Iranians. They wanted to document what they believed or thought, and quite explicitly to leave it as a legacy for others.
Like a duty.
Exactly. A core Zoroastrian duty, actually, to spread and expand good messages and thoughts throughout the world, ensuring wisdom wasn't lost.
And Minoy-e Kherad is a key example of this Andarznameh tradition.
A prime example, yes, along with other texts like Dracht Osrig.
And here's where it gets really interesting, I think. These advice texts weren't just meant for their own time.
No, their influence was huge.
Our sources say they actually became the foundation for great and mighty works, like Ferdowsi's Shahnameh.
The epic of epics in Persian literature.
Exactly, and influenced loads of other poets and sages. It just shows the incredible staying power, the cultural weight of these texts.
It really does. They weren't just dusty scrolls. They were living documents shaping the culture for centuries. It highlights how vital they felt it was to guard and preserve this kind of wisdom.
Okay, so it's foundational, it's preserved, it's influential. But let's get practical. What does the Minoy-e Kherad actually tell you, the listener, about making choices day to day? How does it guide you?
Well, it gives some pretty direct advice. And a lot of it starts with a warning, actually. A warning against getting too attached to worldly things.
Ah, the material versus the spiritual again.
Precisely. It explicitly tells you not to rely on worldly goodness. It calls it fleeting, like a cloud that appears on a spring day and does not remain on any mountain.
That's a beautiful image. Very transient.
Very. So don't depend on wealth, power, respect, even your family background. Why? Because ultimately, the text says, reliance is on one's own actions.
Your deeds are what count.
That's the core message. It's a stark reminder. Life is short, death comes for everyone, and, well, it even graphically mentions your corpse being dealt with by animals. Worldly stuff just doesn't last.
Quite a reality check compared to our modern focus on accumulation.
Yeah.
So if worldly things are fleeting, what does have permanence according to this wisdom? How does it connect to what happens after death?
That connection is central. The impermanence of this life points directly towards their detailed understanding of the soul's journey after life.
Okay, tell us about that.
So the text explains that for 3 nights after death, the soul lingers near the body.
Really? Why?
It's said to be witnessing, reflecting on all the sins and good deeds done during life, a kind of personal review, you could say.
Right.
Then, on the morning of the fourth day, the soul starts this perilous journey towards the Chinvat Bridge.
The Chinvat Bridge. I've heard of it. Sounds ominous.
It is. It's depicted as this incredibly high, terrifying crossing point between the living world and the next. And every soul, believer or not, has to face it.
No exception.
No exceptions. It's the moment of judgment. The soul isn't alone, though. It's helped by holy figures like Srosh, who's a sort of divine guide and protector,
Okay.
and the powerful Bahram, a god of victory. But there's opposition, too. Fierce opposition from evil spirits. They call them divs.
Like demons?
Sort of, yeah. Like Astavat, the bad Vey, and even a figure called Evil Wrath with the bloody spear. It's described as a real spiritual struggle.
A battle for the soul leading up to this bridge and the judgment.
Exactly. At the bridge itself, you have the ultimate impartial judges, Mithra, Srosh again, and Roshan, who is known as the Just.
And they weigh the soul's actions.
Yes, on a spiritual scale that inclines to no side. The text emphasizes its precision. It won't be off by even the width of a hair. Everyone gets the same fair judgment, from kings to commoners.
Truly impartial. So what happens then? Does the bridge experience change?
It absolutely does. It reacts to the soul's life. For the righteous, the pious soul, the bridge miraculously widens like a farsakh.
A farsakh, how wide is that?
It's an old Persian measure, quite large, maybe a few miles. So it becomes a broad, safe path.
Wow.
And as the soul approaches, their own good deeds appear, personified as a maiden more beautiful and better than any maiden in the world.
Their deeds become a person.
Yes. She tells the soul, I am your own good thoughts, good words, and good deeds. She praises them for avoiding evil, being just, earning wealth honestly, speaking truth.
That's credible.
Then a sweet-smelling wind from paradise greets them. Their ascent to paradise happens in 4 steps, mirroring their virtues. Good thoughts, good words, good deeds, and finally reaching endless light and joy.
And paradise itself.
It's described as a place free from aging, death, fear, sorrow, and harm. Just perpetual joy, fragrance, happiness with the divine beings forever. Complete bliss.
A beautiful vision of reward.
Yeah.
But what about the other side of the scale? What's the experience for the wicked?
Well, it's drastically different, as you'd expect. The wicked soul is seized by a div called Visaresha and dragged towards the bridge. Holy Srosh tries to intervene but can't stop it.
There's a force towards judgment.
Yes. And Roshan, the just judge, lays bare all their evil deeds. Then, instead of a beautiful maiden, an ugly maiden appears.
Let me guess, she's their bad deeds.
You get it! She identifies herself as the person's evil thoughts, evil words, and evil deeds. She lists their failings: devil worship, disrespecting good people, lying.
And the bridge.
For them, it narrows to the width of a razor's edge. Impossible to cross. They fall. Their path to hell also has 4 steps. Bad thoughts, bad words, bad deeds, leading down to the darkest hell, the realm of Ahriman, the ultimate evil spirit, and his divs.
What's hell like, according to the text?
It's grim. The divs mock the soul. Ahriman orders them fed the foulest, most unclean food imaginable: poison, snakes, scorpions. The punishments are extreme. Unbearable cold, like the coldest ice, and scorching heat, like the hottest fire.
Physical torment.
Yes, and more. Being torn apart by vermin, an overwhelming stench, a darkness so thick you could grasp it by hand. And this suffering lasts until the final resurrection, the end of time in Zoroastrian cosmology.
It's incredibly vivid.
Yeah.
A powerful deterrent, clearly. Is there any middle ground? What if your good and bad deeds are kind of balanced?
Yes, the text mentions that too. It's called purgatory, or barzakh in some traditions. It's described as a place between Earth and the stars.
And what happens there?
Souls there experience only cold and heat, but none of the other torments of hell. It's seen as a temporary state for those whose scales are roughly even, waiting for that final cosmic renewal.
So it's a very detailed map of the afterlife.
Incredibly detailed, and the key point is that it's not arbitrary. Every single good thought, good word, good deed, or the opposite directly shapes your eternal destiny. It makes every choice you make now profoundly significant.
Which brings us back to the practical side. This deep dive shows Minoy-e Kherad isn't just focused on what happens after you die, it's intensely focused on how to live right now.
Exactly. There's a part where the wise man, the Dana, literally asks the spirit of wisdom, what is best and most excellent for guarding the body and saving the soul?
A very direct question. And the answer.
Equally direct. The text says, of all the good things that come to people, wisdom is the best.
Because?
Because the material world can be governed by the power of wisdom, and the spiritual world can also be attained by the power of wisdom. It's the master key, basically.
The ultimate tool for navigating both worlds. So what does this best thing, wisdom, actually look like in practice? What are the specific virtues the text highlights?
It gives quite a list. For saving your soul and having a good reputation, generosity, Radi, is number one.
Generosity, okay.
For integrity, especially in giving testimony, truth, Rasti, is crucial. Gratitude is highlighted as key to receiving more good things in life.
That makes sense.
And perfect thinking, Kamalandishi, is needed for doing any task well. Contentment, Karsandi, is also praised. It brings comfort and helps you resist evil influences.
Contentment, interesting. What else?
Oh, lots of things. Marrying relatives, which was a specific cultural practice, then participating in the gambars, those seasonal community feasts.
Right, the feast.
Observing all the religious rules, worshiping the divine beings, showing hospitality, actively wishing good for everyone. And this is interesting, having good eyesight towards good people.
Meaning seeing the good in others.
That's how it's usually interpreted, yes.
Yeah.
Focusing on the positive qualities in people.
So it's a blend of personal virtue, religious observance, and community-mindedness. What about the flip side? What does it warn you against doing?
It's just as clear about the pitfalls. Slander is condemned really strongly, called harsher than sorcery.
Wow, harsher than sorcery.
Yeah. Greed is a major warning, lest the div of greed deceive you. Anger is another big one because it makes you forget good deeds.
Like it clouds your judgment.
Exactly. Sorrow is also advised against because it removes the peace from both your material and spiritual life. And of course, lust and envy are explicitly forbidden.
So the big negative emotions and actions.
Yes, but also smaller details. Like, it even mentions that walking around without wearing the Kosti and Sadra, the specific religious girdle and shirt, could lead to harm.
So even ritual details are tied into this ethical framework. What about interactions with others, friends, enemies?
It covers that too. It says you should contend fairly with enemies.
Fairly with enemies. That's quite specific.
It is, isn't it? And with friends, you should act in a pleasing manner. But crucially, it warns you to avoid certain kinds of companions. The ignorant, ill-reputed, vengeful, greedy, or ill-natured. Your social circle matters.
Choose your friends wisely, basically.
Pretty much. And the ethical view extends even further to the land itself.
How so?
It talks about happier lands being places where pious, truthful people live, where fire temples central to Zoroastrian worship are built, or where desolate land is cultivated and restored.
So human goodness makes the land itself better.
That's the idea. Conversely, unhappier lands are where innocents are killed, where idols are worshipped instead of ormazed, or where prosperous areas are ruined. There's this deep connection between morality and the environment's well-being.
That's a really holistic perspective, connecting personal ethics right through to the community and even the physical world.
Mm-hmm.
So with all these detailed do's and don'ts, is there one overarching message?
Yes, amidst all the specifics, the text kind of brings it back home. It concludes that performing duty and guarding the tongue are superior to all else.
Duty and watching what you say. Powerful simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, what an incredible journey into the Minoy-e Kherad.
Yeah.
We've gone from seeing wisdom as this supreme jewel in ancient Persia to mapping out those really intricate paths of the soul after death.
And the very practical advice for living well right now.
Exactly. It feels like a shortcut almost to understanding a really rich and, frankly, quite logical spiritual heritage.
It really highlights that idea that knowledge isn't just for knowing, it's for doing.
Yeah.
It's most valuable when you understand it and actually apply it. The Minoy-e Kherad isn't just describing beliefs, it's offering a whole framework for living intentionally. It constantly reminds you that your thoughts, your words, your actions, they echo. They have weight, both now and, well, potentially forever.
So a final thought for everyone listening. As you go about your day, maybe consider how those ancient core principles, good thoughts, good words, good deeds, might still offer some light for your own choices.
How they might shape the way you interact with the world around you, even thousands of years later.
What small act of wisdom, maybe inspired by this ancient text, could you practice today? Something to think about.